is Tuesday morning. It is July the 15th. Rise and shine. I'm WESH 2 meteorologist Eric Burris. This is Coffee Talk. We get together 7 days a week, chat about what's going on in the world of weather. We sip coffee, or in my case, coffee flavored protein this morning. And we track the things. Bottom left corner shows what we're tracking. That's Invest 93. Let's just go right to it. There's the area that we're watching. It's off of Florida's east coast right now. But over the course of the day today, it crosses the peninsula. And as it does so, works over to the Gulf and now has a medium opportunity to develop into a tropical depression or perhaps even more. Now, we're going to look at all the data here on Coffee Talk. We're going to give you all the information and we're going to do it in a no hype way. Okay? So I just want to make sure you know that that's kind of our thing around these parts. First off, let's just look at the European ensembles development potential, okay? The overall idea here, the European ensembles run, and then we've been able to generate this plot basically saying, what are we thinking? What's the mass thinking? And essentially, as it crosses over us, there's going to be the potential, we think, a high potential in this narrow window here for tropical development, especially south of like Louisiana and Mississippi. Okay? That's the European ensembles tropical development formation chances. Let's look at the tropical storm development chances. It's running at about 30%. So it's a lesser idea, but those numbers have come up just a little bit. So the potential is there that we see a tropical storm form as it moves away from us. Is it expected to become a big bad hurricane? No, we're not expecting that at all. And again, it really all just depends on its exact path across Florida. If it spends more time over water, if it spends less time over water, all that fun stuff. Okay. So then that makes you wonder, like, what are the computer models showing? So here's the overall, we call them lovingly the spaghetti plots. And you can essentially see they're working across Florida and then they bring it up into Louisiana. Okay. So there we are. Development off of Florida's east coast does not look likely. I mean, it wants to, right? Let's come over to our first warning live Doppler radar and just kind of see what's doing right now. It's not the most beautiful of mornings, right? We've got a tropical wave sitting off of our east coast. And what's wild is you can see that counterclockwise spin as it moves through. So let's do this. Let's just zoom in and let's do a little bit of storm tracking, right? Some heavier stuff right along the 520 at the 528, kind of building on up. Looking at the velocity data, no significant winds on our Doppler radar. I mean, there's some good breezy conditions for sure, but there's that. Further to the north, some pockets of heavier rain here through southern Volusia in Brevard. And notice in the last few moments' time, as it kind of pulses up just a little bit, because we're starting to get that sun up, and that sun is going to help to invigorate the atmosphere further to the north into Volusia County, right? More scattered showers into West Volusia, into Seminole County, into the metro. Did have a nice downpour in downtown Orlando. Look at that soaking rain, right? It's pouring on the 408, which means drivers need to not drive like knuckleheads, okay? Further south, East Lake Toho, Narcoossee, those areas need to be just driving with care. There's one of our tower cams. I'm going to bet that that's Orlando. I don't have it dialed up where I can check that, but what I can do is I can individually check things. So let's do this. Move you down, web tower cams. All right. Let's start with the Orlando International Airport. This is the clean feed. Give it a second. It's going to buffer. It's going to buffer. It's going to buffer. Maybe that camera's down. All right, let's head over to that camera. What is this? This is Disney. This is the tourist district camera, right? That's what we're looking at in the tourist district. Okay. Kennedy Space Center. Let's check on our tower cam there, see what's doing. All right. It's gray, right? We know that we've got the rains around Port Canaveral. There have been some showers around just a couple of miles south of the Kennedy Space Center tower cam. It's gray. It's not a pretty morning, right? We can establish that. Let's head over to Tavares, see what's doing there. some showers around. New Smyrna Beach, definitely been watching some rains in the vicinity. Um, this is where we've got, right? You can see that low cloud deck way off there in the distance. What is this? There's the one of our downtown tower cams. Here's the Lake Eola camera checking in. Yeah, you can see that it's just pouring rains around. Ocala, you're a little more removed from this. It's not like it's perfectly sunny and gorgeous by you, but you've at least got some sunshine. And last but not least, let's check in on our first warning live Doppler radar tower. Now, that's an interesting shot, right? You can see looking from Winter Park south toward downtown Orlando. So it's raining here, but you can see that pocket of just very, very heavy rainfall. That's looking toward downtown Orlando. And when we come back to our live radar, you can get an idea. It's looking at that downpour there as it's kind of shifting to the south, right? So, how does this play out? Well, temperatures out the door in the 70s. Let's look at our forecast for the day, okay? Impact weather today. Should we? Oh, let me load the half screen version of that because we've got the inset box. Impact weather today. We've got rains and torrential downpours in the forecast, right? 85 degrees will be our high temperature today. 30-ish% coverage of rain now. Not everybody's getting downpours, but notice into the afternoon, 70-80% coverage of rain. There's going to be a lot of rain impacting us later today, and that's one of the reasons why we're calling it impact weather. So, looking at the overall forecast for today, my friends, here's basically where we're at. Okay, from 11 to 7, rounds of rain, torrential downpours. And as a matter of fact, as I say that, that downpour we were just looking at in Orlando popped a flood advisory. So let's come back over to our live radar. And actually, no, it's not. It's the one further east. It's this one here that's popped a flood advisory. So let's, just because we've popped, just because that's happened, let's do this. Let's look at the rainfall from this cell. Observed precipitation accumulation. Let's do 3 hours. Okay. All right. So just from this cell here, look at that. 3.5 to 4 inches of rain have fallen in just the last couple of hours there along the 520. And, when you look at tropical forecasting, so many people want to focus on could this be forming? But not enough people look at the overall impacts. Rain with a name, rain without a name. You get 4 inches of rain in 3 hours' time, obviously we could start inundating areas. And so often, freshwater flooding like that can be dangerous. Now, we don't have a flash flood warning, we have a flood advisory. Okay, so it's still just pouring in this area. So let me do this. Let me just click over here. Okay, and I want to get the information on that flood advisory. Give me just a few seconds to switch modes here, just so I can pull up the text. Okay, National Weather Service in Melbourne. Give me a second because we use Slack for our messaging. Okay, just a second. Melbourne. Gotta go all the way to the bottom. I don't know why Slack doesn't automatically do that for me, but I digress. Latest message. Okay, flood advisory. Show. All right. Flooding caused by excessive rainfall, portion of east central Florida, minor flooding in low-lying and poorly drained areas. Okay. Yeah, 3 inches have fallen. That's what we just discussed. 1 to 2 more possible in the area. Okay, so yeah, and it's Will Ulrich issued that, which I've known Will for a very long time. Will's a good dude, great forecaster, but it also shows like these lower lying areas have flooding potential first. We know this to be the case, right? So back just over to our regular radar, there's a lot more rain where that came from as Invest 93 crosses the area. So let's do this. Let's pop up our Futurecast model and just get an idea of what the rest of the day is. First off, Futurecast doing a fantastic job showing those bands of rain coming in this morning. All right, through the day, 9, 10 o'clock, the actual circulation of Invest 93 comes in. And you can see it's going to be that torrential rain moving right through the core of Central Florida. through midday and into the afternoon. And then once it exits and works into the Gulf, obviously that's going to be where the window rises for tropical development. Okay. Does that make sense? We've not flown a hurricane hunter mission in there yet, nothing like that, but we have been observing this system over the last couple of days' time. Okay. Now, one other thing I want to make sure to discuss. Okay. And that is the threat for flooding. All right. So for today, we're watching our area. Flooding is possible. For tomorrow and Thursday, Western area is going to be watching. But today, if there was a day where we were concerned with flooding, it would be today, right? As Invest 93 crosses the peninsula. Okay. So that's kind of where we're at. So let's look at the 7-day forecast and let's put perspective together here. All right. So for today, it's an 80% coverage of rain. For tomorrow, it's going to be another soaking day as we get that return flow, that southwesterly wind flow on the backside of Invest 93. Now, if it were to try and develop very, very quickly, obviously we would dry out a little bit quicker. But either way, I don't think that that's going to be the case. We notice healthy rain chances through about mid to late week, and then into the weekend is when we'll start to get more back to normal. Okay. Now, that said, I just wanted to kind of do a quick lay of the land. Next thing I want to do, before we get to questions, next thing I want to do is I want to look at some of the raw data on Invest 93, and I want to look at some of the computer model data, okay? So the best way to track it, frankly, is just by looking at our live radar or the National Weather Service live radar. So Melbourne radar's back up. There's the Melbourne data, and I'll just kind of loop it so you can see that's the spin from the National Weather Service radar in Melbourne. Okay, you can see that circulation is working toward like Volusia Flagler. Here's our live radar. Not much different. It just, it's just a different perspective. But you can see the very heavy rainfall that's coming through. Now, we see a spin. Is it sufficient to update and upgrade to a tropical depression or something? Doesn't look like it. This is the latest pass from the ASCAT satellite imagery. Okay. Now, to give you an idea of how long ago it was, current time is 12:14 Zulu time. This pass was at 3 Zulu time. So few hours ago, 8, 9 hours ago. But what's nice is the ASCAT satellites look not just at, it doesn't look at clouds, but it looks at the winds. And so it gives us the chance, when we're not flying hurricane hunters in, and let me just zoom that in a little bit, but it gives us a chance to really look at what the core has. There's definitely some circulation. It's still more of an open low than anything, but there's some broad circulation. There's definitely some of those gustier winds in there. It has not yet developed. Is the long and short of it. It's there. It's trying to develop. It has not yet developed, okay? It's trying. It will lose its opportunity as it comes ashore over our area today. It's not going to completely fall apart. It's going to dump a ton of rainfall across Central Florida. As a matter of fact, let me just dial up. We looked at Futurecast in terms of like where and when the rains would be, but what about the actual rainfall amounts? How much are we talking about here? So let me get that dialed up. Okay. So here's Futurecast. And this is going to be through Friday. Right? And you can very clearly see there's going to be some spots that get more than 3 to 5 inches of rain. You know, let's see here. Let me just run this way. Stand by. Here, this is what I'm trying to do. All right. So we'll run that. Perfect. And then I'll move the camera. We'll do this. Yeah, so you can see there's going to be some areas that are going to get over the next few days' time. You see those goldenrod colors, right? You're talking half of a foot of rainfall across some areas. Don't get tied into like, is my area one of those? Is it not? Don't get married to that as much as the idea of there's going to be some areas that are just going to get some passing showers and downpours, and then there's going to be some areas that are going to get even more rainfall. Now, if we look at like the GFS, let's look at some of the rainfall numbers off the GFS. Right, so it's saying an additional. I don't know about all that. Euro. See, I'm definitely more along the lines of seeing several inches. The problem with tropical rainfall amounts is I just feel like some of the models just really, really struggle with that. I just feel like sometimes you just don't get the right data, because case in point, our live radar right now showing that one area that has already done. I mean, if we look, let me do this. All right, let me pop up for you all. Let me give me 2 seconds. There's our live radar. But let me turn it from. All right, so here's 6 hour rain. Okay. So just in the last 6 hours, we know that we've already seen here, Doppler radar saying there's some spots there that have seen 5 inches of rain. That's in the last few hours' time. I mean, if I were to adjust that, that's 6 hours. Let me just, from six, let me just change that to 3. Let's just go 3. I mean, it's still the same thing. Radar says there's some spots there that could have seen over that, right? But that's just one spot. Let's come over here and right into the metro. 1.2, about 1 inch of rain. Yellow, when you see the yellow, that's usually when you've got 2 inches of rain or so. But like Rockledge, almost 2 inches of rain. That's in the last 3 hours' time. So I always feel like when it comes to looking at precipitation, a lot of times these computer models just struggle with the data. So understand, and again, this is one of those things you don't just recognize. You kind of have to study this stuff. Kind of have to learn how it works. Okay? And we do. That's why, I've studied tropical weather. I've forecast tropical weather for 25 years in Florida. So it's just, which, good God, I'm old, but I digress. All right. So let's look at some model data. All right. I'm going to show you all the goods and all the bads for perspective. And I'm also going to do it because I just love when people try to hype. And when I say I love it, I mean I really hate it. All right, so this is the American GFS model. We're looking at pressures here. Okay. Crossing us today, keeping it sloppy and unorganized. But like right at the very end, the GFS trying to recenter itself as it comes into Louisiana. Looks like Thursday, that's 11 a.m. Thursday. That's 5 p.m. Thursday. So Thursday during the day, seeing something trying to come ashore there. Could it be a depression? Sure. Could it be a storm? Also, sure. Could be. All right. So that's the GFS. All right. Let's look at the European. All right. Decent area of low pressure off of our east coast. Notice how the European takes that quick northerly jog. I don't know that I buy that. But here we are, and it comes in around Jacksonville. I don't think I buy that Euro, but all right. Then it keeps just a sloppy, broad area of low pressure, trying to consolidate. That's 11 a.m. on Thursday, trying to consolidate. All right, so Euro's trying to do that, which makes sense when we looked at the Euro probabilities. It was trying, and then it comes ashore and just succumbs, falls apart. All right, let's look at the Euro AI. Interesting that it also wants to bring it like due north almost. And then Euro AI almost strengthens it a bit right before landfall in Louisiana. Let's look at the wind parameters here. Tropical storm. It tries to lower the pressure, but it does it right at landfall, so where it doesn't have to, pressure drops first, then winds pick up. So it's like it tries to drop the pressure, but the winds don't have time to pick up. So that's good. All right. So there's that. All right, that's the Euro AI. Let's look at the Canadian, if I can hit the button. All right, Canadian model. Interesting that the Canadian model brings it north and then tries to develop it right landfall. All right, What else do we have here? Let's go back to the beginning. UK Met. UK Met wants to go much further to the south. Eh, icon. Now, people have been loving to show this thing because it has tried to develop something stronger. So here, crossing Florida. I'm curious. Doesn't show much. Okay. All right. So the icon's kind of fallen back weaker, which is good. Let those hypers have something else to talk about. All right. Perfect. Works for me. All right, let's look at some ensembles. Why not? GFS ensembles. Now, what you're not seeing is a whole lot of stuff because it is barely, there's just not. It's weak and sloppy. I love when I look at the ensembles, I don't see anything. There's a couple. Euro's trying. Euro definitely seems a little more bullish. Huh. The Euro seems more bullish than the GFS on trying to develop something. Like none of the GFS ensemble members are trying to really go with anything. The Euros got some of these ensemble members. What is that like? What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 8. Euro has some of the ensemble members trying to do something. So I can't believe I'm saying it. The Euro is a little more bullish than the GFS. Either way, though, you notice that it has some of the low locations off of Aries Coast, comes through, and then it's like that last second it's going to want to pulse up and move in. All right, there's that. What do we have? Euro AI ensembles. Same idea. Some development right at the 11th hour. But that's it. Yeah. So that's kind of where we're at, my friends. The good news is that this is not expected to become a big, bad hurricane, nothing like that. It's just something that we're tracking. Okay. Again, as it continues its progression through our area, today, big rains expected. All right. That's kind of where we're at. Here's the models, at least the global models, the tropical plot models, I should say. All right. And with that, now I will pause. First off, also, by the way, just a reminder, Jeremy Nelson and I will have our Tracking the Tropics at 10 o'clock today. So we'll be here with you. And we'll take an in-depth dive. We'll look at all the stuff. Yeah. All right. Ah, all right. That's kind of where we're at. Sonia says it's just a big rainmaker. That's correct. That's affirmative. Yep. All right. So that's kind of where we're at. All right. Questions, comments, concerns. Now we can chat. Now we've gotten to a good pause point. Lauren's asking, will St. Augustine feel any effects? I mean, it's raining. Those are the effects we're going to be getting. It's raining. At times it's pouring. Brett says we don't need a hurricane already. Good news is we in Florida are not getting a hurricane. The potential of Louisiana getting a hurricane is very low. Again, if we look at it, okay, the development off of the ensembles, here's the European ensembles, odds of depressions forming, or of a depression forming. High odds of a depression forming. Odds of a tropical storm forming. Very low. If we look at odds of a hurricane, even lower. Odds of a hurricane are at like 10%. Okay. So, no, we don't need a hurricane. Louisiana doesn't need a hurricane. The good news is, I don't think either of us are going to get one. I mean, is it possible? Sure. I could also win the lottery, but the data just does not look like it. Could that change? Sure. But I'm going to give you what I see. I'm not going to sit here and hype it. Okay. That's where we're at. All right, I got you though. I got you. If there's one thing, and this may annoy you, you may not like it. I am just not going to be a hyper. And if you're looking for hype, trust me, there are a lot of these bozos on the interwebs that are going to do that. If you want like genuine analysis and genuine data, I'm gonna be here for you. Okay. The winds scare me. Will they be bad in Ocala? Lisa's asking. Absolutely not. Listen, all this thing is going to do is invigorate more rains for us. Is it going to be worse than an afternoon storm? No. Is it going to be truly? Could we see more rainfall than an afternoon storm? I mean, we're going to have more moisture around, so there's that. But should you be preparing for a hurricane? Absolutely not. In Florida, absolutely not. Friends along like Louisiana, Mississippi, Gulf Coast, just watch it. You know, if you live out that way, this is not a massive hurricane. This is not a massive anything right now. It's not even a tropical depression. It's an area of disturbed weather. Kind of like I'm an area of disturbed something else every morning until I get a little caffeine in me. You know what I mean? Know what I mean, Vern? By the way, if this does want to develop, the next name is Dexter. So good times. I can hear the music from the theme song of the laboratory of the serial killer show. No hype bozos here, Jenny says. Yeah, no, I am so hype averse, it's not even funny. Mickey's asking, any chance of a brief tornado due to the spin in the atmosphere? You know, the way I look at it, we could get a tornado any afternoon during the summertime in Florida, right? So to that point, we just have to watch. Yeah. Leslie says, please check in with us on YouTube today. So many people no longer have television. I thank you so much for the time you spend here. Absolutely. I'll be here with you. I'll be here with you. I posted a bunch of those reels yesterday. I was really updating things. Yeah, I'll be here with you. You know, am I going to do another half an hour on YouTube? I mean, we're going to do tracking the tropics at 10. Jeremy and I will. But in terms of keeping you updated through the day, yeah, you know I got you. But for more data, like we'll have brand new model data right at 10 a.m. So that's where Jeremy and I are going to be able to share with you the brand new stuff. Ricardo says that's why I like your live streams. No hype. Yeah, man, I just cannot I even did like one of those reels yesterday on hype because I flipping cannot stand that. I just cannot stand it. Is Dexter coming for you? Shut up. And you know what's disappointing to me? This year in particular, this year in particular, there are meteorologists, people with degrees, people with scientific educational training that are hyping. Doesn't that show? I have to choose my words very carefully here. Am I on a soapbox? Yes, and I'll step down in a moment. Doesn't that show societally how the need for getting clicks is fogging our thought process? Some people. You know, I see, you know, there's well over 1,000 people watching live on all the channels, and I thank each and every one of you. I'm going to tell each and every one of you, I am not going to change the way that I do weather to try and get more people to watch Coffee Talk or Tracking the Tropics at 10 a.m. I'm just not. Because I take what I do and what this is so seriously. I want to be the person that when the weather gets truly scary, you know I'm going to tell it to you like it is. You know I'm going to be here for you. What I don't want is the guy that you see on your feed and you're like, wait, something's going to come for us? And it should be I should be terrified. Let me click and see what he has to say. Because you'll get that and I'll get a click out of it. But are you going to trust me? I wouldn't trust me if I did that. So I'm never going to do that. So we'll sit here. I'd rather have fewer people watching, but I'd rather have the people watching that trust that what we're talking about in here is going to help you. Daddy Shark says it's the algorithm writers. Not me, man. Whatever the algorithms do is what they're going to do. We're just going to be here talking about the weather. Okay? Period, paragraph, end of story. Eliza says maybe their bosses demand that kind of behavior to get people to watch. It's a delicate balance, perhaps. I've never had a boss demand me do something that is irresponsible. And if I did, I don't know. I have maybe my bosses watch Coffee Talk. If they do, I would tell them the same thing that I would tell you, which is if I ever had a boss tell me to do something irresponsible, I would have to resign because I can't do that. I will also tell you, I've worked for this company almost 20 years, and I've never had a boss tell me to do that. My bosses think that their weather teams are the experts in the field and they trust our judgment on things. That's empowering as an employee and as a steward to our community. I don't know that that's the right word. As a servant to our community, I think that's darn important. And I couldn't work for somebody who expected me to fog the messaging. Soapbox done. I apologize. All right. Jonathan Ward, thank goodness. Why we love ourselves. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. Let's see here. Eric said the Waffle House is closed. Yeah, no, I did not. Oh man. Jeff says, I'm just worried about the return of this pattern. Jeff, you and I both, man. I mean, okay, so for those of you that are, we've got a larger audience this morning than typical, which that makes sense. For those of you that are new, we do our long range forecasting and we do pattern recognition. And one of the parts of the pattern recognition is recognizing parts of the pattern that could be more threatening tropically. This part of the pattern is referred to as the slow Gulf low. It's like, at least that's what we called it in our expert opinion back in February when we were putting this together. We came out with this forecast February 28th, 27th, I don't even remember. End of February. Said that in this part of the pattern, tropically, that section of coastline from Louisiana through the Florida panhandle would have at least threat. Look at the dates. Now, we shifted these dates up 2 days on June 1st. Because we watched the pattern from February to June. So there was one modification. We shifted the dates 2 days. I want to be fully transparent with you. We did that. Every year we at least open ourselves up to a date shift on the first day of hurricane season because we put our forecast out so early. But it's July the 15th. This will get out into the Gulf tonight or tomorrow. July 16th through the 23rd, we highlighted that stretch of coastline, July 16th through the 23rd. Now, what happened June 4th through the 11th? I haven't even gone back to look to see, but why don't we do that together real fast? Give me a second to pull this up. I don't know if anything happened then. Do that, do that, do that. Give me a second. All right. Interact. No. What is it? It's June. What was the date? It was June. Sugar. Hold on a second. June 4th. So let me just pop up. I'll pop up June 2nd and we'll just start June. All right. So we have a front. Okay. So this is June 2nd. I'm sorry. That's June 1st. We're just going to look together. So what we're doing, if you're new to Coffee Talk, I'm just going back and like case studying to see if the cycle before did anything. Okay. It's June 1st. Notice a little bit of moisture around like Brevard County along that old front. You see that green there? Okay, so there's front June 2nd. Trophiness over Florida. Trophiness, Big Bend. It looks like that would have been it. There's a trough east of us. All right, so what was it? It was June 4th through the 11th. Yeah, so I think that it was just that trough then. But you can see that trough right there, kind of working across Florida. So it was a trough the cycle before. Okay. It was nothing significant. It was just a trough, but it was there. So then you look at this version and we know that it's this storm system. Whether or not it develops, we'll see. August 25th through September 3rd. Yeah. We'll have to watch. Yeah. So somebody write in your calendar August 25th through September 3rd, slow Gulf low. Yeah. That's going to be the part of the pattern we're going to have to watch for this one. Yeah. All right. Pattern recognition. We'll remember it. We'll watch it happen again. It's going to be different, but that overall pattern is going to favor it. So anyway, for more on that, you can just head to wesh.com, and on the hurricane section, just click on the 2025 hurricane season forecast. I've got a full description of this kind of pattern recognition that we look at, understanding the different threats and all that stuff. Okay. All right. So that's kind of where we're at, my friends. Questions, comments, concerns. When it recycles, will it form again on the East Coast? Jessica's asking. I don't know. Think of it as a river. We know where the river wants to flow. It's just a matter of how does the water get there is kind of the difficult part. Yeah. So it's not perfect. Yeah. I mean, it didn't form off the East Coast either. It's trying to form. Okay. Um, Oliver's asking, have the Jacksonville and Melbourne radars come back up yet? Melbourne came up. Jacksonville is still down for maintenance. Yeah. All right. All right, listen, that's all I've got for now. I'm going to reset, get everything ready to go. WJCL Chief Meteorologist Jeremy Nelson joins me at 10 a.m. We have Tracking the Tropics Tuesdays. 10 a.m. We're going to go deep dive into Invest 93. We're going to take a deep dive in the entire basin. We'll look beyond, see what other model data is showing, and we'll have you covered. All right, so join us again on these social channels, 10 a.m. Tracking the Tropics Tuesday. All right. All right. In the meantime, for the more than 1,000 people watching live and how many else watching on tape delay, be the sunshine in someone else's day. And on a day like today, it's going to be a cloudy day. It's going to be a wet day. All right. See you all at 10 a.m. for Tracking